Hello and welcome to another standard video here in the preview event for the Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy expansion. Today we're taking a look at one of my favorite decks I've played in the event so far, and it also happens to be incredibly funny. The goal is to hit the opponents with a Jumbo Cactuar, a 7-mana 1/7, and whenever it attacks it gets 9,999 additional power until end of turn. Now the Cactuar does not have Trample, doesn't have any other built-in evasion, so it's usually not too difficult for the opponent to just block it to survive, so that's where Surak and Goreclaw will come in handy. A 6-mana 6/5 Trampler, giving other creatures we control Trample, and whenever another non-token creature we control enters, we can put a +1 counter on it, and more importantly, it gains haste until end of turn. So if we can curve Surak and Goreclaw into the Cactuar, we get to attack right away with Trample, and likely win the game on the spot. Now we can also speed up this combo by a full turn and by 7 mana thanks to Smuggler's Surprise, which also makes the combo a lot less predictable for the opponent since we can surprise at instant speed, and we're usually interested in the 5 mana spree mode to put up to 2 creature cards from our hand onto the battlefield. So if we have both Surak and Goreclaw and the Cactuar in hand, we can now combo off for the low price of 6 mana. Can also cast a surprise earlier in the game, especially if we draw multiples. For 3 mana total, we get to mill 4 cards, putting up to 2 creature and or land cards from among them into our hand, so that can provide a bit of card advantage and dig for additional lands to make sure we keep hitting those land drops and potentially also find some of our combo pieces. And that's also where our various tutor effects will come in handy. We've got a full set of Fierce Empath, a 1/1 creature. When it enters, we get to search our library for a creature card with mana value 6 or greater and put it into our hand, so that can find either Surak and Goreclaw or the Cactuar. And we have another one-off we can find. The Red Overlord can be impended for 4 mana, dealing 4 damage to any target, so we can maybe curve Empath into an impended Overlord on the following turn if we need interaction. And then the Overlord's still very good with Surak and Goreclaw, as we can immediately attack with it, so it can trigger twice in 1 turn. And then besides the Empath, we also have 4 copies of Archdruid's Charm, which is incredibly flexible, has 4 or 5 different modes depending on how you look at it. And the ones we're going to use most often are to either find a land to put on the battlefield tapped, can even be a non-basic land, so we'll often get a Surveil land to further improve our odds of finding whatever we need. And we can also use it to find whatever creature we want and put it into our hand, so similar to the Empath, can also find our 2 combo pieces. And then we can also use it to exile artifacts or enchantments, or maybe put a +1 counter on our creature and let it deal damage to an opposing creature equal to its power. Then we've got more ramp with Green Overlord, which we can impend on turn 3 to make an everywhere land token, and casting this for 5 mana is also great, especially with Surak and Goreclaw giving it haste, so it's also something else we can maybe cheat in play with a Smuggler's Surprise that we're not too sad about. And then we've got more ramp at 2 mana with Glimpse the Core, finding a basic forest to put on the battlefield tapped. The reason we're not playing Llanowar Elves in this deck is because we're also running some board wipes which would take care of it. Pyroclasm dealing 2 to each creature, as well as Brotherhood's End, which can deal 3 to each creature and Planeswalker, or destroy all artifacts with mana value 3 or less. So these are also pretty important to keep up against all the aggro decks in the format. At some point I did also try Calamity in this deck, so you might see it in the gameplay, but I eventually ended up cutting it, even though it has some neat synergies with the Overlords especially. It's not a combo with the Cactuar, since Calamity will put those creatures into play tapped and attacking already, so then the Cactuar never gets a chance to trigger, so it's just going to be hitting for 1, which is not that exciting. And then the mana base has 26 lands total, since we don't want to be missing land drops in a deck that wants to go up to 6 and 7 mana. Plenty of basics, which we can find with Fabled Passage, as well as with Glimpse the Core. Only 2 mountains, since we want to make sure we have plenty of green sources for the triple green Archdruid's Charm, and that's also why we have so many red-green dual lands, including the tapped Commercial District and Temple to either Scry or Surveil. Can also find our missing pieces that way. And then Karplusan Forest and the red-green Verge, which we can also enable with our basics, or even with the Everywhere Land token, will also make this produce both colors. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Alright, we're on the play with a reasonable hand. It's a little clunky with lots of 3-drops, but at least Empath can assemble our combo pieces, so then we're just a Smuggler Surprise away. Or we can just curve into the 2 creatures. We'll see. Playing on the new battlefield here too. Facing brushland, so green-white. Don't know if it matters. I guess I'll get Mountain in case we need to Brotherhood's End early. Pyroclasm is good insurance. And side quest, raise a Chocobo, so likely a bird deck. Alright, so still gonna ramp with Overlord and then wait to maybe catch an extra creature with a Pyroclasm. There's a Cactuar. So yeah, just needs one Empath to get Surak, and then ideally find our Smuggler Surprise. So we can combo with 6 mana on turn 5. If not, next turn Pyroclasm into Empath, get Surak, and then hope to just draw the lands to cast Surak into Cactuar. Opponent keeps up 3 mana, probably has the Aven, which can counter stuff. So let me Empath first. Yep, Aven Interrupter. So that worked out. Would have been pretty painful if they countered some 6 or 7 mana card. Another Chocobo. And the greens making another token. Okay, so I guess I could get Surak and cast it, and then, yeah, with a land, there's Cactuar. And then Surak with an Overlord, still pretty good. Traveling Chocobo. So if they can play one more bird, they get to transform the side quest. They might have Chocobo kick to take out Surak and Goreclaw. Get to untap, did not find the land sadly. So in that case, just play Overlord. And then next turn we can Cactuar. Could also actually impend the Overlord. So I still keep up Archerit's Charm, that might be safer. Because I don't need the 2 extra lands, I just need 1. I guess I could also cast Overlord and keep it on defense, to be fair. But I kind of like the flexibility of keeping up Archer's Charm. And then I'm not going to attack. We get another Overlord on defense anyway. Could have taken out the Traveling Chocobo right away. I think I'm okay if they transform their side quests. Aha, Choco, Seeker of Paradise. Now that one's pretty scary. So I probably have to take it out before they get a chance to attack and get a whole bunch of landfall triggers. They do get to enable the Traveling Chocobo with the landfall creatures multiple times. But yeah, let's interfere. Then the Overlord's fine to block if needed. And then next turn it's Cactuar time. Alright, let's go. And smash. 10,001 power. There we go. Sweet. On to the next one. Alright, we're on the play. Our hand can glimpse on 2. Still need to find another red source for Brotherhood's End. And then double empath is a little clunky, so I think I can do better. This seems a bit better. So one land can probably go. And then we have double red, we have triple green. Although we still need to find quite a few creatures. But now with double empath we can get Surak and then Cactuar. Smuggler Surprise would tie everything together. Opponent on maybe a town deck. So could expect a UFO on 2. Yeah, that's a good one. And there's a surprise. So Archerd's Charm probably needs to ramp. So if I do that now, then next turn I can maybe double empath. And that sets up surprise on the following turn. Because I can also get a Surveil land or a Scry land here. So I think I like that. So it's gonna take some setting up. Don't know if they're running counter spells that we need to worry about. It's gonna be the Wandering Minstrel. Of course, another payoff for the town deck. And we'll get to search for... Don't know if it matters, Surveil or Scry. I guess I'll Surveil. And Archer's Charm, not as good as just finding a land. Untapped, I should say. There we go. So yeah, now we're setting up the combo for next turn. Get Surak, get Cactuar. Our opponents will see it coming. I'm sure they know about Smuggler Surprise. So if they have instant speed interaction or a counter spell, our plan may not work out, but one can hope. They might also think they have an extra turn since we need to first cast Surak and then the Cactuar. So surprise might catch them off guard, but I wouldn't count on it. So already 4 towns for the UFO. And then the Minstrel activates for 8 mana. So that can also be quite devastating, although I can still chump with Empath at least. Opponent makes an Elemental. And yeah, they are activating, so they're mostly tapped out. So there's a chance. And let's just go for it. 1 and 2. Trample and haste. And smash. Do they have a bounce spell? Doesn't look like it, and there we have it. Awesome. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have our Smuggler Surprise and Surak. Charm can either ramp or find Cactuar, so we'll give it a shot. No real interaction for any aggro decks, so we are soft to those. Hope to find a land with a district. We did. And what are we up against? Maybe a mill deck. As our opponent can mill half of our library. Could be paired with a water crystal. And yeah, this can also mill. Brotherhood's End is useful. So probably still gonna ramp with Archerd's Charm. So we can get our second red. And then if we find other tutor effects, we can still get the Cactuar. That might be more of a life gain deck after all. Creature's still within range of Brotherhood's End at least. And a Healer's Hawk. Alright, perfect. So everything's gonna die. I guess I still get a Survey land over a Scry land here. Keep the Verge. I guess I probably should have waited for the mill to happen and then Surveil afterwards, but it worked out since Empath is what I wanted. So deal 3. And then now I need potentially 2 more turns to combo. And now Aerith. Another life gain payoff. And there's a land, perfect. Alright, so get Cactuar, and then next turn we can surprise. Assuming there's no instant speed interaction. Monument can mill. I'll take 2. And another monument, so that should be game. And get a land. And surprise. And smash. That'll do it. Awesome. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have a promising hand. Can start by fetching. Probably get a mountain, so we have double red for Brotherhood's End. Then Glimpse for Bitter Ramp. Can use 1 surprise just to hit additional land drops if needed. And then we're still hoping to find Surak. Opponent a red-white. And Cloud, so it's an equipment deck. So don't expect a ton of instant speed interaction outside of maybe the Salvo, which can deal 5. So that is, I think, enough to take out Surak. I believe it has 5 toughness. So yeah, that could potentially mess up our combo. For now, we'll just pass. And then I can surprise, milling 4 cards. Now the War Whip makes a Rebel. Can discount other equip costs. So I'll fetch first. Don't necessarily need to draw a ton more lands. Alright, I guess 2 lands it is. Pyroclasm would have been a fine draw. And now we get to Brotherhood's End. Gonna do it now. Could also destroy artifacts with it, to be fair. So I could potentially wait another turn. Although now we're also just looking to put 2 Cactuars in play with a Smuggler Surprise, so then if they only have 1 blocker, they might still die to those. But if we get lucky, we draw Surak and just win next turn. Opponent's got another Whip. And then the new Freya. A mana creature for the equipment deck. Alright, there we go. Now, the only drawback of this play is that we're not gonna have lethal if they have the Rebel Salvo, which could take out Surak. But I gotta try. Because yeah, the alternative would have been surprise, end of turn, put in 2 Cactuars, and then if they didn't leave 2 blockers back, we have lethal. Now they can potentially keep up interaction. The sword is pretty good against us. Protection from red and green, but they'll have to mostly tap out, I guess, with a discount from Whip. They don't have to tap much mana. In fact, it's free. So they could still have that Rebel Salvo, which would be pretty sad. Although, I guess never mind, I can use Surprise and also make Surak gain Hexproof and Indestructible, since we'll have the extra mana. And the Cactuar at 7 toughness survives. So we should be good. We'll see if they tap out here. Alright, opponent goes for Raban. So now we should be extra in the clear. They get to move their equipment around. But yeah, even with protection from green, we still only need to assign 4 damage to it. The rest gets to trample over. And I'll select these 2 creatures. And attack. 10,000 damage, thank you very much. And there we have it. Awesome. On to the next one. Alright, we're on the draw with a keepable hand. Got the ramp, got the surprise, still need to find some of our bigger creatures. But hopefully they will follow suit. And surprise is still a fine play early on. Probably don't need to prioritize the Verge. Authority, ooh, that's brutal. So now I'll have to surprise in the opponent's end step and then untap and hopefully get an attack in with the Cactuars. Surek and Goreclaw no longer all that useful. Alright, I guess I'll still use the Overlord for ramp. Opponent makes a token. So not entirely sure what our opponent's building towards. Archfiend, well, that one hits pretty hard. Brotherhood's End can only deal with a Knight token. So I probably just take the hit. Although I suppose I can both Brotherhood's End and Surprise for 3. So there's probably no real downside to dealing with a Knight token now. But yeah, the Archfiend's a fast clock, we can't easily remove it. And that paired with Authority means we can't threaten lethal next turn, so they have another big creature here, we're in trouble. And Deep Cavern Bat's also gonna disrupt us meaningfully. Let them take a surprise. Now I regret casting the Brotherhood's End last turn. Let's see what we can find. Oh, Cactuar and Empath. So that is technically the combo. Pyroclasm can get our surprise back. But yeah, Authority messes everything up. Otherwise, Pyroclasm back surprise. Play Empath, gets Surak, and then we would have the combo before our opponent can present lethal. With Authority, that's not gonna work. So then, what's my best sequence? Just cast a Cactuar, hope they don't have removal for it. And then next turn I can maybe clear path with Pyroclasm. But yeah, it's not ideal. Another bat can now take the Pyroclasm. And I don't think there's anything I can get with Empath that necessarily does it. I guess there's the Overlords, which can deal damage. We fall to 5. Now Brotherhood's End, I guess, is a simpler solution. Possible they can make another Knight token at instant speed to chump. But I don't think there's anything I can get that would make a difference. Alright, wow, we actually did it. 10,000 damage to the face. On to the next one. Alright, we're on the draw. This hand's pretty rough with 2 tapped lands. Even though we have Empath and Charm to assemble the combo pieces for Surprise, it's probably going to take me too long to set up. Alright, this is a bit more balanced. Keep 1 Pyroclasm, facing green-white. Alright, let's hope to catch some creatures with Pyroclasm. Do I need a second Charm? It does assemble some of the combo pieces, I guess, so it's not the worst. It's not as good as a Smuggler Surprise, admittedly. So maybe I'll be picky. Torgal, alright, so another creature that dies to Pyroclasm, and another Llanowar Elves. This is gonna be a massacre. Yeah, that's why sometimes Pyroclasm is much better than a 3-mana sweeper. Opponent back on the board with Vanette. So, probably want to ramp here. Could Archdruid's Charm, although I guess, yeah, Empath gets Cactuar. So, I might be better off going for Charm to ramp, so then I can maybe cast Overlord to ramp some more if I find a land, and we get to either Scry or Surveil to improve those odds. Is their opponent a legendary deck from the looks of it? So they probably don't have a ton of instant speed interaction to worry about. And let's get Commercial District. Want an untapped land, ideally. Glimpse the Core, not as good as a land, since I can just impend the Overlord, which is the same as just casting a Glimpse. Alright, there we go. Cast Overlord. And then I can curve Surak into... I guess Empath still needs to get to Cactuar, so it's gonna take a few turns to set up here. But at least we got a blocker for now. Vanette transforms for 7 mana. Alright, Coglant Idaro destroys artifact or enchantments, and yeah, the Overlord is an enchantment, so that's too bad. Think I'm still down to play Surak. Could technically also Empath get the red Overlord and then impend it right now to take something out, but they've got Bodyguard to protect. So I think I'm better off playing Surak. Small chance I top deck Cactuar for the win. If not, at least it's a blocker. And Bristly Bill can maybe grow creature up to 5 power. No fetch land, just a Plaza, which can also make a creature indestructible. Ooh, and a Get Lost, so they did have some removal after all. Now we take 7, so now we're probably dead. Did draw the Surprise, so had I maybe played Empath last turn to get Cactuar, now Surprise would have been lethal. Now I guess Surprise still does stuff. I can put in Surak and Empath, and then make my team gain, or at least creatures with power 4 or greater gain hexproof and indestructible. So yeah, I guess I'm not technically dead yet. And then Empath gets Cactuar, which I can then just cast. So we'll see. Do have to watch out for effects that increase power, like Bodyguard or Bristly Bill with a land. This one transforms at the beginning of combat, so that's too bad, so that's gonna pump all of their legends. And then, yeah, we'll only have 2 blockers. Yeah, that's very unfortunate. Not much I can do about it, sadly. So yeah, if it weren't for Sarah, I think we actually survive and have a decent chance of comboing next turn. And it's Xaxes too. Maybe can hope that they sacrifice the Bodyguard here. But I doubt it. Because if they sack Bodyguard to save Vanette, then they wouldn't have lethal, but they don't have a reason to. Ooh, opponent actually goes for it. Alright. Did we snatch victory from the jaws of defeat? Maybe our opponent's just playing along. But, yeah, let's go for it. Cactuar with Trample and Haste. And that's a lethal attack. I'll take it. Sweet, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. Got a bit of ramp, multiple sweepers, although we'll still need red for Brotherhood's End. Empath can get Surak. So we're missing a few elements, but I think there's enough here that we can keep. Plaza into Zac. Can maybe protect from a sweeper. And I can scry now. I'll say no to Brotherhood's End. Already have one. And the upside of scrying over surveilling here is that we don't show them the Brotherhood's End yet, so they may not play around it. So opponent is an equipment deck, and yeah, Cloud gets Sword of Forge and Frontier, makes a lot of sense. So let's Pyroclasm now, I think, before they get a chance to protect. And then we can keep ramping next turn. And then Brotherhood's End can also destroy equipment. Ooh, Raban, that's rough. Because I can immediately attach the sword. So I can either Brotherhood's End Raban, or I can wait to destroy the sword itself. It doesn't really stop the combo in any way. So I could just glimpse and call it a day. I think it is reasonable to Brotherhood's End now. And now Firion. Alright, there's Surak and Goreclaw, so yeah. Fierce Empath could also get some other creature now. But best case scenario, top deck Smuggler Surprise for the win now. Buster Sword makes a copy. Can equip for free thanks to the discount from Firion. And they can put something else in play now, so that was rough. Another Cloud. What else can they find? Celestial Armor can make a creature gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Alright, so what's the plan now? We do not have Smuggler Surprise, so then I would just have to cast Surak. Hope to draw another untapped land and then just cast a Cactuar. Yeah, I guess that's it. Top decking Smuggler Surprise would still do it, since we can just put the Cactuar in play that way. So untapped lands, Surprise. Those are the cards we want. Opponent gets to equip one sword for free, so we don't get to block this turn. But we shouldn't be dead. So 8-powered Firion can play something else for free. They might have a Rabble Salvo to take out Surak, we'll see. Chainsaw doesn't quite do it. Sword of Wealth and Power. Can we get an untapped land one time? Another Cactuar, that's unfortunate. Alright, so we seem very much dead now. Yeah, that's too bad. I guess we can show them the Cactuar. They were very close to dead. Alright, GG's. And yeah, they also had the salvo. So yeah, I wonder if they drew it for turn or if they maybe should have kept it up. but that also could have disrupted the combo, taking out Surak. Now an attack will do it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a promising hand. Just missing the Cactuar. Already have Surak. And our Smuggler's Surprise. Bit of interaction so we don't get run over. And there it is. So now we just need to hit our land drops. And at 6 mana we can combo kill. Assuming there's no instant speed shenanigans. Get our tap land out of the way. Opponents on turn 1 mountain. Blue-red. So probably a Vivi prowess deck. So they're running the Steel Cutter most likely. Alright, it's going to be Eidetic Memory. Still points towards a Vivi deck, since they can increase its power that way to get a bigger discount and deal more damage. And yeah, if they get it to 4 toughness, Brotherhood's End no longer works. Could have also considered playing Glimpse in case we can cast Overlord. But yeah, if we draw land, we should be good anyways. Now a Bitter Union, so they're still setting up. And discarding Vivi, so maybe missing a 3rd land. They found it. And another surprise. Well, it is giving away something here if we surprise for 3 mana, but it does help me hit my land drops, and then I can still maybe glimpse afterwards, assuming we find an untapped land. Alright, we got there. So if they tap out, they should be dead. Fear of missing out, that's acceptable. We'll pick up a counter from the Eidetic Memory. Opponent discarding Memories returning as well. Pretty interesting new card draw effect. Cauldron, Graveyard Hate, we don't care about. And yeah, opponent seems tapped out. I guess I can give Vivi's ability to the Fear of Missing Out thanks to the Cauldron, so that's pretty neat. So they still have 3 mana available, but only in their turn. And yeah, Geralf is not gonna change anything. So, surprise for 6 mana. And there we have it. So yeah, this Smuggler Surprise combo deck is a bit of a meme. I don't expect it to be particularly competitive, since on the ranked ladder you can expect to face a lot of aggro decks that can win on turn 3 or turn 4. So then your turn 5 Smuggler Surprise in the best case scenario is still probably going to be too slow. But it's just a very funny deck and a lot of fun to play as well. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's gameplay. Want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.